If confidence means that I just go into the game and I'm not afraid who I'm facing, then yeah, we're confident, but we're not confident to the point where we're like, we're just gonna trash these guys, like they're so bad, you know. I think, for example, Roca, since the O2 does, or Fnatic that O2 does, we would have some more like respect, you know, but against H2K it's more about, we know we can beat them, and we're just mostly focusing on ourselves and we're not afraid of them.
Welcome back to the European LCS semifinals. Mithy says we know they can beat them. Well, so far they're up 2-0 OG over H2K, looking for that clean sweep. But in all honesty, to H2K as well, Game 2 was a lot closer for the longest part of the game. Let's start by looking at picks and bans, because this time around, OG, more clear pick and ban, a better pick and ban you guys were thinking than Game 1.
I think the only thing I don't like is the Ahri. I think they could have picked Orianna instead. Ahri is a champion that looks very good when your team is ahead, and obviously with the teleport as well, it's going to look very good when the team is ahead. But I feel with the composition they're running, they need to kind of push the power to just win the early game and not have something that relies on the rest of the team. Just pick the Orianna really strong in lane and just play around that.
Right, but I think it's very interesting about the Ahri. Actually, in contrast to what Mithy just said in the video as we came back, talking about confidence, I feel like H2K is playing incredibly confidently up against Ryu. He takes the TP. We saw Toys in the LMS regional qualifiers doing the same thing. He went 2-0 on that. And we were talking during the game, taking teleport on a mid laner like Ahri sacrifices all of your lane pressure when it comes to actually getting ahead and looks for plays elsewhere. So I feel like H2K just doesn't seem to be worried at all. And we were talking about if he doesn't get Victor, is he going to struggle? Doesn't seem to be doing it thus far.
He might not have any other champions left but Ahri, though.
It feels like to me, Peck is the clutch player, you know, and I don't feel like in these games he's the clutch player. And this one in particular, I feel Mithy was a clutch player.
Yeah, let's actually pull one of the replays up that was well, defining in this one. There was a lot going on around Baron, and here OG starts it and then pick it with the flank.
Yeah, it's actually starting off fairly well with the engage and everything, but then the Orianna saves everything, and then Mithy with the flash ultimate, that saved the complete team. But that was actually MVP-worthy status in that game. That was so good by Mithy. And after that, they completely cleaned up the fight, got the Baron after that, and I think after that the game was kind of decided, because it was very hard for H2K to pull back. Even though OG's comp has like a really good early game, mid game and everything, H2K's comp would outscale them pretty hard, because Tristana and Orianna, but they never got to the status where they can actually comfortable push and be in a position, in a driving seat, basically. So they were always in the back foot, and maybe that was because of lacking jungle pressure in that game, but it seems like H2K was always a step behind in everything. Rotations, in team fights, in positioning, and how they put the people on the map, and that showed pretty much in the game.
I would also like to add the fact that after this game, it doesn't feel like H2K could come back. I think this game was like admitting defeat, because I think the early game was lacking a game plan. They're playing around with the Gragas around the lane that is supposed to lose. It's easier for them in the early game to play around the Shen, because the Shen can easily transition the pressure from top side into bottom, and that is the correct play.
Well, you say it might be hard for H2K come back. We actually opened the floor over to the viewers and asked to ask something to the desk, and we have a tweet from Josh AJ Doan rather. How important is the mental game in a best of 5, and who will have the stronger mental game? You're calling it pretty much for OG at this point. I also remember that from a misplay in the bottom, or a failed trade where Kalista ended up 2 kills, you said this might be the deciding fight for the entire series. I'd love to get your more perspective on the mental aspect of this.
I mean, the mental aspect is H2K is still fairly new compared to OG, because we talked about this. OG has like 86 playoffs games under their belt combined, and they're not players that are affected by mental. They know they have strong mental fortitude. We know that because we have seen them over and over again at Worlds, at pressure situations, how well they do. And I think it just OG has a stronger mental game in probably all of the series. And I think H2K, they can still maybe come back, but I feel like they're outfigured. I don't think they have anything up in their pockets to like pull out or something, and I think they put their entire strategy in both these games, and I don't think they will put out something new that we can see that maybe will give them a win.
Well, something that they could have done was put in Betongjok, of course, in this decider game, but it is going to be Lulex for Game 3 again. And honestly, he did have a better game in Game 2, in my opinion. And they had some strong individual performances as well. Ryu, who actually always delivers, but as a team, it's just not working.
Yeah, something's just not quite right with, specifically up against Origen. They seem to just have the number. And you talked about Lulax having a better game. He did. He didn't die for pretty much 20 minutes of the game. The problem was, at the same time, Amazing was doing more on the map. Amazing was getting in the fight, setting up the rest of his team, and setting up the snowball that the Origen needed to take the game through. So if Lulax can step it up again in Game 3, they still have a shot, but that window is closing very quickly.
I mean, I talked about it before the game, how the jungle matchup should go, and I think those two games have been like perfect distribution of how well the jungle matchup is skilled out, because we have seen the Rek'Sai vs Gragas reverse matchup right now, and Amazing seems to just be a better jungler in that series, and he has been dictating the early game. He has been setting up Soaz with that first blood in the top lane to actually do fairly well against the Shen, shuts down the complete TP advantage from Shen and the global pressure, and then snowballs the game through that with Vision and Mithy together. So I think Amazing is just doing like a way better job at providing early game pressure, ganks, out-farms Lulax, and even in team fights, he's doing all the job at engaging. I mean, it's just, yeah.
I would also like to add, the simple fact is, if the enemy team have this matchup like Kalista Janna, it's the strongest bot lane 2v2 in the game probably. And with this in mind, the enemy jungler should not spend time in this lane. You cannot possibly gank it, and in a 3v3 situation you're gonna get destroyed, as you saw in the game. And with that in mind, I feel like the idea that H2K had coming into this game was fundamentally wrong. That they wanted to play around the bot lane. It feels like almost as if Kassing and Janna just told Lulax what to do, like we are getting destroyed in bot lane, we need help. And it doesn't really work that way in this level of play. They need to take a calm, calm look at the game and just look, oh, we can gank the Shen, we can snowball the Shen, make him push out the lane, alright, we can Shen ult bottom, alright, that's the game plan. But it was clearly lacking in this game.
Finally, very short, you came back from an 0-2 deficit versus UOL. Even though in the end it wasn't that good, you did come back 2 games. Can you tell me one line you would say to H2K or to your team to keep your head in the game?
Well, I'm a person that takes everything step by step. Every game step by step, every scrim step by step. Everything has equal importance. And being in a best of 5, you should not look in the back, look in the future or look in the past. And with that in mind, game by game, take it easy and just throw in a little bit of Al Pacino speech and it's fine.
Well, okay, I hope we hear that one day from you, but we'll see if Probably did that for H2K. It's time to draft for Game 3, so let's hand it over to the casters and load up on those picks and bans.